again. Today we are sitting because we started with the seated postures yesterday, and we will continue with the seated postures. We will actually finish the so-called seated postures today. And some of them are quite challenging because we will be working with a lot of half lotuses. And before you actually start with these postures, I really want you to feel how your knees are, because the half lotuses are very, very strong on the knees, and a lot of people practicing Ashtanga have hurt themselves practicing these poses, especially the knees, and myself included. I also hurt my knee once, and it was super painful. So really be mindful of those few poses that are requiring a half lotus. And I really suggest to get yourself a block or anything that you can put underneath the knee, maybe even a pillow or blanket or something like that, so that the knee feels supported. Okay, so we're gonna get started. The last posture that we did was the forward fold, and it was the three positions. The first one, the big toes, then the outer edge of the feet, and then grabbing the wrist. And then we did a vinyasa, and we came back to a seated posture. And from here we will continue. So again, you extend your legs out in front of you. This time you place your hands behind your back. We're coming into a posture called Purvottanasana. And with this, and maybe we'll show the beginner's version first, you can bend your knees like this, and you come into reverse tabletop position. So this could be a really nice modification for the pose. So it's really just about lifting up the hips and creating the strength in the thighs, and also creating the strength in the neck area and the throat, because you want to bring the head back. So that's the beginner version. You can come back down, and the full version of it would be to extend the legs, bring the legs together, and then lift yourself up. Same thing, and trying to bring the feet really closer to the mat by bringing yourself nice and high, so lifting the hips here. And you will feel it in your legs. Yeah, it's quite a challenging pose. And then after the fifth breath, you can come back to the mat and you go into vinyasa. So vinyasa again, as a beginner, you can just bring your legs behind, lowering down. You can come into a cobra or upward facing dog and downward facing dog, and then coming back into a seated posture, either through jumping or just to tippy-toeing or stepping forward into a seated pose. Beautiful. The next one would be to extend your legs again. And that's the first pose that requires a half lotus. This is called Ardha, Baddha, Padma, Paschimottanasana. And with this one, you want to bring the right foot on top of the thigh, and as you can see, Kata's knee is not really touching the mat. So you can really bring, and I'm just looking for a pillow here. Anything really, so you can grab a pillow and just put it underneath the knee, because that will support the knee. And the full posture would be to come into a half lotus and then to bind behind your back and to grab the big toe. Given that there is no you cannot reach the toes just yet, you can again use the arm as an extension. So you can try to wrap around and grab that left arm here. And if you cannot bind yet, just stay here. Otherwise, if you have the flexibility and the range to grab the big toe, then you can fold forward. Otherwise, just stay upright.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So this would be the full posture. And after the 5th breath, with the inhale, you come back up again. Exhaling, releasing your legs. Inhale, you lift yourself up and jump or step back. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhaling, downward facing dog. And same thing, jumping through, and the other side. And you will notice that in Ashtanga Yoga, we are doing a lot of vinyasas, especially in the seated sequence. And the reason for that is that we really want to keep the energy and to keep the warmth and the heat in the body, and also to build up on our strength. Then we're coming into the other side, left side, half lotus, and you can bring the pillow or blanket or a block underneath that leg. Just really support that knee. And staying here for 5 breaths. And the thing is, it's really all about the hip flexors. It's all about opening that area. And it's a lengthy process, so it takes some time to really start opening that area. And sometimes it can even trigger some emotional responses, because there are a lot of emotions stored in the hips. And once you start working on these particular poses, it can happen that something might be brought up to the surface. So again, it's a good opportunity to start looking into, what is coming up, what is happening right now emotionally, on a physical level, on an energetic level. Great. After the 5th breath, you release the legs. Again, inhale, you lift yourself up and step back to the back. Inhaling, exhaling, and again, jumping or stepping forward into a seated posture. So the next one is Trianga Mukhaikapada Paschimottanasana. That's a really long name, but eventually it all makes sense. Exactly, so you bend your knee and you try to bring the foot closer to the hip. And again, really be mindful of the knee, and it can help to widen the knees a little bit, to separate them, so that there is a bit of a release in the knee. Otherwise, and you will notice that you might tip over on the left side, and even here you can grab a blanket, a pillow, and you can just put it underneath the sitting bones, like this. So it will help you to stay even and grounded. Great. So here, if this is enough, you just stay here. Otherwise, if you feel like, yeah, the knee is okay, I'm okay, I can fold forward. Yeah. And in Ashtanga Yoga, especially in the seated postures, you will notice that there will be a lot of grabbing onto the wrists. And the rule here is that the same arm as the gesturing leg, so we see that this right leg is bending, is doing something, the same side is grabbing the wrist of the other hand. So that's kind of the rule of thumb in Ashtanga. And if you cannot reach your feet, you can just lightly come out and you just stay here. That's fine, because you really want to keep that spine elongated. After the 5th breath, you release your legs and you go into a vinyasa again. So stepping back, lowering down, inhaling, exhaling, and seated. Sometimes the vinyasas can be quite challenging, especially in the beginning. And what you can do is to skip the vinyasas in between the sides. So let's say you do the right side, and then you skip the vinyasa and do the left side straight away. And then you do a full vinyasa. So that's possible, so that you slowly start building up on strength. Otherwise, what you can also do, let's say you're doing the first side first, the right side first, then you don't really do a vinyasa, but you can try to lift yourself up just to build on those muscles, especially the belly, the stomach muscles, the abdominal muscles. You can just play around with lifting yourself up from the floor. And just once is enough, and then you go straight to the other side. And then you do full vinyasa. Great.
Should we do the other side?
Yeah, we do the other side as well. So again, we're bending the left leg and trying to bring the left leg as close as you can to the body. So it actually looks something like this. So the right leg is, you're kind of sitting very close to that leg, pretty much. But again, it's very challenging at the beginning. So make sure you can separate the feet, maybe separate the leg a little bit and see what's possible. Great. And here, because there's a tendency to tip over to the right side.
I think I'll try with that.
Yeah?
If it feels stable.
Okay.
Now I'll tell you.
Yeah. Beautiful. And you're staying here for 5 breaths. And you see here, this time the left hand is grabbing the right wrist because the left leg is in gesturing mode. And after the 5th breath, inhale, come out. Exhale, release the legs. And vinyasa. Inhaling and exhaling. And jumping or stepping forward into seated position. Now we're coming into Janu Sirsasana sequence. And for this one, we're bringing the sole of the foot against the inner thigh. So the right leg comes first, always. Really press the foot against the thigh here. And you can again support the knee with a pillow or block if you want to. And otherwise, if you feel like you have the flexibility and it's not painful on the knee, you can slowly fold forward. And staying here for 5 breaths. And really remind yourself of the bandhas, really engaging the Mula Bandha, the Uddiyana Bandha. Again, Mula Bandha, it's the sensation of holding in, as if you want to go to pee, but you're holding in. That's the sensation. It's kind of this, it's like a lock in the perineum. And the Uddiyana Bandha, it's a feeling as if you're pulling the stomach in and up. So it's like, that kind of movement. And the Ujjayi breath, activation of it. Important to remember. After the 5th breath, you come up. Exhale, release. Inhaling, lifting yourself up, bringing the legs back. Inhale, exhale, and jump forward, step forward, other side. Janu Sirsasana on the left side. Inhale to expand, exhale, folding forward. And really activate the thigh, the thigh of the elongated leg. And flex the toes, flexing the foot this way. Yes, flexing this way. Yeah. Thinking about the bandhas. And after the fifth breath, inhale, come up, exhale, release your legs. Inhaling, lift yourself up, stepping back, Chaturanga, inhaling, upward facing dog, exhaling, downward facing dog, step forward, jump forward into seated, and we're coming into Janu Sirsasana B. Well, let's come to C. That's a challenging one. So with the B, same thing as with A, but this time you actually sit on that foot. You can kind of imagine that the heel of the foot is between your genitals and your anus. That's kind of the orientation point. And that's a beautiful reminder to, again, activate, especially the Mula Bandha here. And if you feel comfortable, you can fold forward here. And again, the right leg is the gesturing leg, so it means that the right hand is grabbing the left wrist. And with these postures, you will probably also feel it in your side body. Right. Inhaling. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift up. Stepping back. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhaling. Exhaling. Other side. Janu Sirsasana B on the other side. So you again try to sit on top of the heel, and with the exhale you fold forward. And you can notice that this side is a little bit tighter. So the right side is a little bit tighter here. So you just stay upright. And each day, when you come into practice, doing the same poses over and over again, you will notice that there's more space created. Somehow I can go a little bit deeper. Somehow it's not painful anymore. Somehow the knee is opening. Somehow the hips are opening. So it's a gradual process, and it's not happening overnight. Great. After the inhale, you would come up, exhaling, release the legs. Inhale, lift yourself up, step back. Chaturanga Dandasana, exhaling, inhaling, upward facing, exhaling, downward facing, and jumping or stepping forward into seated posture. So the next one, Janu Sirsasana C, I'm demonstrating the full one, so how it's supposed to look like. So similar to A and B, where we bring the knee to the side and the foot is on the thigh, this time we're placing the toes on the mat and rotating the foot so that the heel is pressing against the thigh. So ideally, you want the knee to come down to the mat. If it's not happening, you can just place a pillow and then you would fold forward. For most people, especially for beginners, this is a very challenging pose because the flexibility of the feet and the toes is not there yet. So in order to build up on that flexibility, there's a really nice pose that I'm always suggesting to do, and it's a toe squat. So what you do here, you place the toes into the mat. Maybe you can see it that way. And then you just sit on the toes for quite some time. And just feel it. And sometimes, even in this pose, because there are so many meridians in the feet ending and starting, you will also feel that energetically, there's something happening in your body if you're aware of it. And it can also trigger some emotional responses. So really be mindful of what the various poses are doing with you. So that's one option. Otherwise, you just do the one side, then you do the vinyasa, then you do the second side, again vinyasa, and you just come back. And let's assume you just did the toe squat. You come back into a vinyasa. So inhaling, lifting up, bringing the feet back. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhaling, upward facing, and exhaling, downward facing, and jumping forward. Great. We're going to do 4 more postures of the Marichyasana sequence. And the first pose is to bring the right leg, so to bend the right knee first, and we're coming into a bind. So it means, exactly, we're bringing the right arm up, inhaling and exhaling, we're binding behind the leg, and you bring that other arm all around you and trying to bind, and if you can fold forward. Otherwise, if you cannot bind, or if you're very, very close to binding, you can use a towel. For example, you just grab hold on that towel, you try to bind again. You try to bind again, and then just grab the towel with the other hand, and that way you can manage to bring the bind a little bit closer and closer. If the bind is not happening at all, you just stay here in this position and try whatever you can. You can try to get into the bind, so try to bind only to the point where it stops, right? And just stay there, and each time really working and working until you notice, there's something's opening up. Great. After the 5th breath, we're doing a vinyasa here. And other side. So this time left leg is bending. Inhaling the left arm up and trying to bind behind your back. And really important to activate that front leg, flexing the foot. And it helps to bring the foot a little bit further away from the leg. Nice. Inhaling, come out, exhale. exhale, release the legs. Inhaling, lift yourself up. Vinyasa. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhaling, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Stepping back, jumping back. So, we're coming into Marichyasana B. And with the B, we're coming into half lotus again. So this time, it's the left leg starting to get into the half lotus. That's the little difference. But the right leg is coming up again into a bend. So I'm just demonstrating the full posture. So the left leg is coming into a half lotus. The right leg is bending. And then again, same thing, coming into a bind. So inhaling here and exhaling, binding, and maybe I'll show you how it looks like from behind as well. We just bind, and the right hand is grabbing the left wrist, because the right leg is the one gesturing. So this one is the one where we are we're actually working on. So this way, and again, if you cannot reach the wrist, maybe you can just reach your fingertips, that's okay. Or maybe you can just get a towel and just see what's possible. Otherwise, this could be enough, and you just work on maybe folding forward slightly, or you just stay here like this.
That's what I do.
Exactly, and maybe put a block or pillow, something underneath, a blanket, and really just work on that hip oblique. And if this is super painful, don't do it. Just keep that pose. Great.
You just bind, he said.
You just bind. Super easy.
And then you just bind.
Do you want to do vinyasa?
I do. Oh, yeah.
Great.
Those are great, especially in the beginning.
Yeah. Inhaling. Exhale. And jumping through.
But again, I have to say, like, in the beginning, I hated vinyasa, and I guess everyone does. And the more you practice, the more you realize that you're actually doing effort, and that's actually, you feel strong while doing it. And in the beginning, it was only hustling, and it was only difficult. But now I'm more open to that, so that feels good. So don't worry if it feels awkward and I wanted to say painful. It's not painful, but it's not nice to do, or like really, really challenging. So be careful with that.
Yeah. Do you want to show the other side?
Yes.
So the left. So this time we are coming into half lotus with the right, bending that left leg, and
then you just bind.
and you just bind.
Look!
Look.
That didn't happen.
It's a first.
See, that's an example of how you sometimes are surprised by some poses that you just bind. See, with the powerful words.
See?
That was exactly what I needed. And then you just bind.
Good. Just bind. Great.
Was there mehr? That one.
It helps because you will feel.
close to the.
You can experiment how it feels like. So if you put it a little bit closer, that leg, you will notice that you have more space to bind because the arm has a shorter distance to travel. Great.
So you see, while the other leg is not ready at all yet, like I couldn't manage to bring that leg close, the other side is. So that's also interesting.
Very interesting. Great. Inhale, release the arms. Exhaling, releasing the legs. Inhale, lift yourself up again. Coming into vinyasa. Inhaling, exhaling, stepping or jumping forward. coming into Marichyasana C. So with this one, again, bending the right leg first, and we're coming into a twist. So with the inhale, bring the left arm up. Yes, because you want to twist in that direction. So that's the twist. And again, with Marichyasana, you want to come into a bind. So see, Keto, if you can come into a bind here. So
like this?
No,
that will be the first.
Yeah, that's the one. So you really try to bring that arm all around you, and I'm helping you.
Thank you. Because I'm gonna fall if you're not.
Yes, good. And try to bring the chest up. So really elongate. And yes, beautiful. Looking to that side a little bit higher up. Over the shoulder. Great. And inhaling, releasing. Exhale, release the legs. Inhaling, lift up. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Stepping back, jumping forward, and coming to the other side. This time, twisting over to the left side. Inhale the right arm and binding here. Yeah. Beautiful.
I'm gonna fall if you don't want to fall.
I've got you.
If you want to start to practice that alone, then make sure you're close to a wall. You can't fall down.
So you can see here. This side is also a little bit tighter than the other one. Great. Inhale, release. Exhale, release the legs. And Vinyasa. Inhaling and exhaling. And stepping or jumping forward. We're coming into the last posture of this seated sequence for today. And it's Marichyasana D. So similar to B, where we come into half lotus first with the other leg. So half lotus always with the left leg first. Then we bend the right leg. And you can see, you can maybe try, maybe you can bring it a little bit closer, see what's the closest, but be mindful of the knee, right? And now with the D, we're coming into a twist. So similar to C, it's just now with a half lotus.
So
like this. And let me demonstrate the full posture again. So C, Marichyasana D would be to bend the left leg first, coming into a half lotus, bending the right leg, and coming into twist. Maybe I'll show it from behind as well. So you kind of come into twist, and it's quite a challenging posture. It took me a lot of time to actually get into it. Maybe I turn around this way. And then you come into bind and grabbing on that wrist if possible. So that would be the full posture. But as a beginner, you can maybe even skip that one or just keep practicing on the C variation. So just like this. Or if you feel like, oh yes, you're coming into a bind in C and you are quite open with the hips, you can play around with that. Maybe you can just come into the first yeah, kind of in the first position where you just try to slightly twist like this. And that's enough. Okay. Can you do vinyasa again, and then we're coming to the other side? Inhale, exhale, step back, jump back, step forward, forcing back, and now just show it on the other side. So this time the right leg is coming into half lotus, left leg bend. See, and this one is much more flexible, right? And
so the bend would be
exactly this way.
So what I could practice, or what I do actually, as you said, is to just practice on that.
Yeah. And you can place even here the pillow underneath the leg, the knee. Yeah. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, release the legs. And bring them into closer to your body, and then inhale, you lift yourself up and step back or jump back. Inhaling and exhaling and coming forward. Great. I think that's it for today. You can see how challenging some of the postures look like and actually feel like. And if you feel like you're kind of, there's one posture that is, you cannot go further, it feels really tight and stuck, you decide for yourself that you just stop there. Because traditionally in Ashtanga what happens is that the teacher would actually stop you mid-practice. Because the teachers, they have the feeling of, okay, is this person actually ready for the next pose? And if they feel that they are not ready, they will tell the students, okay, that's your last posture, that's enough for today, and go straight to the finishing sequence. And we will show the finishing sequence in a couple of days' time. But what the student will then do the next day, they will do the practice from the beginning, from the sun salutations up to that particular pose where the teacher told them to stop, and that will be their ending pose. And then they will go to the finishing. And then each time they come to the practice, each time they come to the shala, to the Ashtanga school, the teacher will always observe and see, is the student making some progress? And if so, the teacher will give the student another pose. It's like, here you go, you're doing a great job, here you have another pose. So that's kind of how it works. So given that you're doing your whole practice, you have to be your own teacher, and you have to be really, really mindful of your own body, and really be honest about it, and to really say, okay, that's it for today. And sometimes the ego come up in that as well, where it says, well, but but I want to do this thing, and I want to go further, and I want to do the whole primary series. But the thing is that you are kind of risking your health, you're risking your well-being, and in that process, that's where you hurt yourself. So yeah, that's just a piece of warning, a piece of advice from my end.
Yeah. And the more gentle you go with yourself, the better you feel about the whole practice, I guess. The more you dive into the poses as well. And the more you can allow to dive into the poses, which is for me very enriching to do the very, very basic stuff, and I feel that I can dive into that basic stuff every day more and more and more, so that I appreciate actually to really be very, very mindful, very careful about the difficult poses, and to not challenge myself too much in that. So listen what that teacher says to what that teacher says, to what Buddha says.
Yeah, and the thing is, you are your own guru, you are your own teacher. And with that, we're saying Namaste.
Namaste.